So I went ahead and I went ahead and I hit my painting with the hairdryer. I dried my sky and I dried my path that I always hike on, and I dried the base of the foothills. So here, what we're going to do next is we're going to go pretty fast. We're going to put the lime green in, the base of the little foothills. We're going to try to put a little bit of the brown in here for the top of the foothills and some of the sand color, and maybe some of the back foothills in here. So here we go. First off, I've mixed some sap green, and a really bright cadmium yellow light. And watch what I'm going to do. I've got my number 7, so I can move pretty fast. I made a really limey lime green. And I'm just going to, as I go, it'll get wet. So at the base of the foothills, I'm just going to kind of, and you can even go in where I drew. There's going to be some little pieces of sagebrush and bush, because we can just go right over the top of that. I just drew it in so I could see it. And I'm just going to this is the base, where it's really green. I'm putting in all the lime greens first, so I kind of give myself a map on where I'm going. And again, this is cadmium yellow light mixed with sap green, and I made a really limey color. See, I'm just going to kind of scrub this on. First off, I'm just kind of getting it on, and I'm even just going to take water and just let it kind of bleed down into there. I'm going to go right up. I got it wet as I was going. Sometimes you can even just take straight yellow. I'm just going to throw it on here. That's really pretty. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of get this wet and just kind of let it bleed up a little bit of there and stop. Now what I'm going to do, I've got some it's really yellow-green here, and it's really yellow-green here. So I'm going to get that in. That's going to go right here. I kind of have it drawn out. And I'm going to put it right here. The path and the sky is nice and dry. I went and dried it with the hairdryer. I'm just going to kind of do that. That looks great. Kind of mapping this out. And sometimes you can just take even some straight yellow here and there if you want to do that. Looks great. Then what I'm going to do, let it sit for a moment. And while that's sitting and drying a little bit, I took some burnt umber, alizarin crimson, and yellow ochre and made that same color that I did for the path. And I'm just going to, made it a little bit browner, very carefully, and kind of wet and wet. Whoops. Throw it on top of this little sandstone foothill. Remember, with watercolor, you always go lighter to medium to dark. Kind of get that in, and it kind of just met half and half with the green. Okay, that looks pretty good. And what I might even do, might get a little fancy. I'm going to just take a little bit of water right up in some of these areas. I kind of went past it. I mean, you're going to see me doing something. I took some sap green and mixed it with burnt umber, and I'm just going to very lightly. You got some sagebrush at the top of this where I had gotten it wet. I'm going to do that, and I might do a few little sprigs of it here and there. And I can come back later and put some more. And this is sap green and burnt umber, and some of it can be a little bit heavier on the burnt umber. Kind of put some light things in here, and we can always go over the top of this later. Now what I want to do, I just wanted to get that in, and I can re-wet this later and keep embellishing this top hill. Now what I want to do, while this is kind of sat and it's dried a tiny bit, it's still a little wet, I took some sap green and ultramarine blue, really heavy, and this is where you want really strong contrast. That's a kind of neat, you can go over the top with your colors. I mean, these are the initial colors, but you can embellish them and put in, I call it using your artist's license. You can kind of go over the top, which is kind of fun. So these are these bushes in the front, sap green and ultramarine blue. There's a big one here. I'm going to kind of put one down in here. Maybe another one here. Maybe another one here. And here, you've got some kind of creeping down the hillside. You're working pretty fast. A lot of times when you're seeing some southwestern scenes, when they have the sagebrush, it's the strong light and darks. And you kind of do a little bit of that. So you get a nice bleed. This is a real wet and wet piece. It's kind of fun. I don't want to lose that fun. Now I'm going to mix up a sagebrush color, which is cerulean blue, a little bit of sap green, a little bit of burnt umber, kind of a soft gray. Maybe I'll just throw some light. Looking color in here. Maybe I'll throw some down here. Just take water. Come back with that dark green. This was red. I'm just kind of giving it some flash. Throwing some cerulean blue in here just for some fun color. Just kind of dot when you want to do brush and such. It looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave that alone.